Live at 5, this is 13 News Now.
Something about the way I was conducting the Russia investigation was in some way putting pressure on him, in some way irritating him, and he decided to fire me because of that. No. I can't go farther than that.
Fired FBI Director James Comey appeared before the Senate Intelligence Committee today. The open hearing lasted about 3 hours, and much of the United States was glued to their screens as they watched the testimony unfold.
But despite all of this, the Russia probe saga is far from over. President Trump's lawyer is sounding off about today's testimony. ABC's Janae Norman has all the details from Capitol Hill.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth?
Former FBI Director James Comey was cool, calm, and collected as he shared his side on Capitol Hill. Weighing in on his controversial firing, the administration blamed on FBI rank and file losing confidence.
Those were lies, plain and simple. I take the president at his word that I was fired because of the Russia investigation.
Comey testified the president repeatedly asked for his loyalty. One conversation that continued to come up when Comey says Trump asked him to let go of the FBI's criminal investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Trump allegedly saying, "I hope you can see your way to letting Flynn go," a claim the president has flat out denied.
The president never, in form or substance, directed or suggested that Mr. Comey stop investigating anyone, including the president never suggested that Mr. Comey, quote, let Flynn go, close quote.
Comey admitting he'd never memorialized conversations with presidents in the past, but did so with Trump to protect himself and the FBI.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
And a stunning revelation. Comey admitting this tweet from Trump that James Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press prompted him to orchestrate the release of his memo of the Flynn conversation through a friend.
And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
The president speaking today, not directly referencing Comey, but saying he will not back down from doing what is right.
We know that the truth will prevail.
Today, the president's lawyer says President Trump feels completely vindicated by Comey's admission that he did tell Trump he wasn't under investigation. And the White House weighing in saying, quote, the president isn't a liar. On Capitol Hill, Janae Norman, ABC News.
And once again, today's hearing took place before the Senate Intelligence Committee. The committee is made up of 15 senators. 8 are from the majority party, the Republican Party. 7 senators are from the minority party. This balance is in place to encourage members to work in a bipartisan manner. The current chairman is Republican Richard Burr of North Carolina. The ranking Democrat is, of course, Mark Warner.
A poll from ABC and the Washington Post finds 6 in 10 Americans believe President Trump fired Comey to protect himself. Only 27% of the people think that the president fired Comey for the good of the nation. About 70% of people in the poll say they doubt the president's word on the Russia investigation. But there is also skepticism with Comey as well. 55% of people in the poll said they doubt Comey's word on Russia. Well, this evening, local experts are weighing in on Comey's testimony. And the big question, did what Comey have to say about President Trump rise to the level of obstruction of justice? Mike Gooding joins us with that part of the story. Mike.
Well, Janet, of course, this whole thing began as an investigation into Russian meddling in last year's elections. But it now has, of course, taken a turn with James Comey testifying today that President Trump asked him for loyalty and then allegedly asked him if the investigation into National Security Advisor Michael Flynn could be dropped. In the end, the answer to the question of obstruction will have to be answered by the special prosecutor, Robert Mueller. James Comey didn't mince any words, except when he was asked if President Trump, in asking him to take it easy on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, had obstructed justice.
I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards.
But I'm not sure if that meets the court of law standard for obstruction of justice And that's the real question, I think.
CNU political analyst Quentin Kidd is unsure where that part of the investigation will end up, but he does know this is a big deal of historical proportions.
This is the most serious investigation of a president since Bill Clinton was investigated, and that led to an impeachment charge by the House. And prior to that, the most serious investigation of a president was Richard Nixon's investigation, which led to the resignation of the president. So I certainly would put this among the 2 or 3 most serious presidential investigations or investigations of presidents in the last 150 years, really, of this country's history.
Now, we wondered what impact all of this might be having on the morale of federal law enforcement personnel. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from a retired FBI agent. His answers might surprise you. For now, reporting live, Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
Our continuing coverage of Comey's testimony continues during our newscast tonight. And don't forget, we'll also bring you the latest information on our website, 13newsnow.com. And breaking news out of Virginia Beach, the police department issued search warrants related to a deadly pit bull attack. It happened on May 31st in the Pembroke Manor area. Police say this dog right here mauled and killed a woman in her 90s.
The victim's family had just adopted the pit bull named Blue from Forever Home Rehabilitation Center. The adoption was on the same day as the attack. We have a crew digging into these latest developments in this story. We will have updates on air and online. Developing now, a man is in custody after a homicide in Portsmouth. 58-year-old Franklin Lane III is charged with second-degree murder. This all has to do with a shooting early this morning on Chippewa Trail near Portsmouth and Victory Boulevards. Janu Hurd joins us here in the studio with an update on the investigation. Janu?
Well, David, right now, police are still investigating this shooting, but after looking at some court documents, it shows an abusive relationship between John and Jay Nunemaker. Court documents detail that abusive relationship between that 70-year-old man and his wife. In one arrest warrant, Jay Nunemaker accuses her husband of pushing her down, then punching her in the face several times after the two argued over money. He also told her if she told anyone about this incident, he'd kill her. But Jay is accused by John, her husband, in a different arrest warrant, saying she clawed him and that she had been seen with a convicted murderer who was just released, giving him money. John said in the warrant he was scared that Jay was trying to harm him. We found out that John Nunemaker is a registered sex offender convicted of forcible sodomy back in 1992. Now, online court records show that Lane, the suspect here, was convicted of murder in 1988. Janu Hurd, 13 News Now.
She disappeared in January. Rashonda Gerald from Norfolk is still missing. But this evening, we are getting more clues about how police are trying to track her down. Reporter Stephen Graves got a hold of those search warrants today. And Stephen, what do they tell us?
Janet, there's a lot of information. It's a long narrative detailing an investigation into one man. Shocking evidence found here, including a hatchet reportedly with blood on it. Family members say they knew of all of this before the information was made public, but now the focus is just getting the mother back.
It's just sit right. It doesn't.
5 months of searching and endlessly asking questions. Rashonda Gerald's family carries a burden most can't understand.
There's things we still know that we cannot reveal. And so we have to carry that, for the sake of the investigation.
Newly unsealed search warrants reveal some of those details. Paperwork says Norfolk police are looking into a man. He's an ex-fiance of the mother of 3, according to family. Documents detail an interview with him. January 4th, around the time of Rashonda's disappearance, he claimed to take her to pay a water bill, had sex with her at a car wash, and dropped her off at a Norfolk intersection. Authorities say cell phone pings and other evidence don't support the claims. Later, documents say a search was done of the man's car. Inside, a hatchet wrapped in plastic and a car mat. Documents say both tested positive for traces of human blood,
which is still being tested. Nobody knows whose blood is on that.
Rashonda's mom, cousin, brother, sister-in-law say police told them the mom of 3 is most likely dead. Over the weeks, they say they've come to grips with the news and just want closure.
We still have a lot of questions. How do we plan a memorial without a body? How do we go on without?
Just bring my baby back.
Yeah, we just want her home.
Bring my baby.
Now, tonight, police say there are no arrests. This is still considered a missing persons case. I'm told the homicide unit is investigating. Reporting, I'm Stephen Graves, 13 News Now.
All right, we are following breaking news at this hour out of Atlanta. A church bus has crashed, injuring several people. Take a look at your screen right there. This is a live view of the scene from the air, of course. Emergency vehicles swarmed the area near the airport in Atlanta. Mount Zion Baptist Church in Huntsville, Alabama, posted on its Facebook page that one of its buses with its student ministry mission was involved in a crash while traveling to the airport. And the posts say there are several serious injuries. We're going to continue to work this story, get you the latest details on air, online. But right now, that is the scene near Atlanta, and there is no word on what caused this crash. Coming up.